we should talk about the AJ and Jalen thing to start off, because I think this kind of contextualizes the whole thing. I saw Jordan Mailata today at the podium, and he said, I didn't start the rumor, mate. It's a rumor, and we're moving on. And Jordan Mailata is a fun guy. He laughs a lot. He's fun at the podium. He's personable. He was even personable in this little clip I saw. But make no mistake about it, you could tell he was tired talking about the AJ and Jalen thing, and you could tell that some tough conversations were had. How it got there, I'm not in the locker room. If it's true or not that they were friends, aren't friends, I'm not in the locker room. Would you rather AJ not have said what he said last week? Would you rather BG not have overshared on a radio show this week? He absolutely didn't have to do that. Absolutely. You'd rather none of this stuff came out. But I'm going to sell you some hope if you're an Eagles fan. Sometimes things fester and they don't get taken care of until everybody gets fucking embarrassed. And I think everybody in the building was probably embarrassed this week on a level. And, you know, especially those two. Work it the fuck out. Like, right now. And I think that's what it being out does. If it were not out this week, and I don't like how it came out, then we never take care of it. But I have a feeling watching Jordan Mailata talk to the media this week that there were some very hard conversations, albeit forced, but they had to be had. And I think they were had. And to the Jalen Hurts at large conversation, I think he's got to play better. I think some people that, you know, when it comes to a quarterback, and I'm guilty of this too, when I have a take on a quarterback, it's hard for me to back off it. You know, I'm a human being. I'm not, you know, I know a lot of ball, but I'm a human being just like everybody in this chat. And so I have human emotions. I have confirmation biases. There's a lot of fans in the Philadelphia fan base that are like, no, the guy's beyond reproach. He went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. That doesn't mean anything. Carson Wentz was an MVP a couple years. I mean, he was a candidate a couple years before they said, hey, see you later. We like this kid from college. So Jalen needs to perform well, not only for his future in Philadelphia, but also because they have the best roster in the league. The other 21 guys, if I stack that roster up, you take the quarterbacks out of the scenario, who's better? Who's got a better roster? I'll wait. In the chat, I'll wait. I'll give you 10 seconds. Who's got a better roster than the Eagles? And this isn't homerism.
All of these recent drafts, it's been like, that guy fell to them.
I know. And even the guys that started slow are coming around.
Mm-hmm.
You had your doubts about Nakobe Dean. He's coming around. You know, the two guys they hit on this year, you know, Jordan Davis, people make a big deal about the stats. Jordan Davis he's there for a reason. He's disruptive. Jalen Carter, you had people doubting his potential, which is endless, as early as like a month or two ago. Oh, guess what? Now the narratives have caught up, and he's all of a sudden a great player. Things are working out for all the guys that play positions on the Philadelphia Eagles. They bring in Saquon Barkley. They got 2 number 1 wide receivers. They have the best offensive line in the league. They have a defensive line that's ascending. They have a linebacker room that features a guy that, although I will not bite, has been compared to the Luke Kuechly DPOY year. Don't send me that graphic. I love Zach Bond. Don't send me that fucking graphic. His stats are similar. Don't send me that graphic. The linebacking core is really good, right? You got one of the better nickel corners in the league, and he was just born. You got a corner outside that is my favorite kind of corner to watch. You don't have to watch him. You don't see him the whole game. How many replays with Quinyon Mitchell do you see that aren't good replays? So everything has broken right for this roster, and credit to Howie Roseman, and they've got some great assistant coaches. The quarterback has to play well. And so there's going to be a lot of pressure on Jalen. And I think this is the type of week coming off the performance last week where it would really help him to have I don't need them to score 30. I don't think this is a high-scoring game. Personally, I think the under would be my play if I had to. Because on the other side of the ball, and I don't want to skip right to the other side of the ball, but I actually think the Eagles are going to do a pretty good job against these guys. You think about them winning, living and dying off the moon ball, living and dying off of shots. Vic Fangio is going to make you earn it. And I think they've done a good job in the run game. I like the matchups up front for the D-line. So this is going to be a lower scoring game if I had to guess. I could be dead wrong. So it's going to come down to offensively, can Jalen make the throws? And Saquon and that front against that Pittsburgh defensive front, this is must-see TV if you like big guys. I mean, must-see TV. There's not going to be a better defensive line, offensive line matchup unless we see this thing again in the Super Bowl. Cam Hayward's playing outstanding. The edges, they're back, right? Highsmith's back. TJ Watt, you're going to get him on Lane. You're going to get Highsmith on. By the way, I expect Lane to win that matchup. You're going to get Highsmith on Mailata. You're going to get Cam Hayward on Dickerson. You're going to get those fast backers. That's one thing they cleaned up this year. The kid from NC State, he can really roll. Cam Jurgens out in space. It's going to be cinema watching the Eagles offense and their front against this front. But I think you love the matchup with A.J. Brown, no matter who it is. Even with Joey Porter Jr., I like that matchup. And I think Devontae Smith is an absolute matchup you have to win. This is going to be a hell of a game. A hell of a game. But Fran Duffy wrote an article earlier this week. Eagles fans know Fran Duffy. I got to pull it up. He actually messaged me this thing. He was like, I heard you talking about, Jalen Hurts, and the longer the down goes, the less you like him. And that's been a thing that I've been on, is like, the longer the down goes with Jalen Hurts, the worse I feel as somebody on the Eagles side.
Leads the NFL over the last month with 22% of his dropbacks lasting 4+ seconds.
He's taken too long.
And half of those plays result in a throwaway sack or scramble.
He's taken too long, and what happens the longer the down goes is not good. It's like when you play the Ravens, the longer Lamar's back there, if I'm a fan of the other team, I am puckered up. Mm-hmm. I'm like, he's going to kill us in about a half a second or 4 seconds. Jalen, the longer he goes, I'm like, here comes a pick, rolling right. Here comes, a sack, something ill-advised. I want him to be decisive. When he's decisive, he's damn good. So when you talk about why is he so polarized, it's because it's like two guys in there. The guy that gets rid of the ball, the guy that has quick options that aren't all RPOs, the guy that takes off running, the guy that can hit deep balls outside the numbers as good as anybody, play to his strengths. We don't need him back there baking a fucking cake. So I just want to pull up this Fran Duffy deal. This is wild.
Some votes in the chat for the Lions on the roster discussion.
I don't think so. I don't think because you take the Eagles offensive line, you take you take Philly's wide receivers. I love Amon-Ra St. Brown, but you take the weapons outside. Do you like David Montgomery and Gibbs better than Saquon?
Equal.
Okay. Defense. You like the defensive line?
Aiden's got to be healthy.
Okay. Well, he's not.
Yeah.
So who do you like better?
Right now, Philly. Yeah.
Okay. Whose backers do you like better?
Eagles.
Whose secondary do you like better?
Philly.
Yeah. They got the best roster in the league, dog. And so a lot is going to fall on the quarterback. But go read Fran Duffy's piece that he came out with this week. I mean, it's along the lines of what you're saying, which is not good. It's just not good. It's not good.
A throwaway can be a good play.
The EPA per dropback is minus 0.72 on 4-second downs.
Yep.
Not good. So it's the worst in the league, I think. It's just not good. We got to get rid of the ball. So that, and Pickens being down really helps. I talked about that earlier. That's a big deal. Steelers live off the big play, make them earn it. They haven't been great in the red zone until recently, right? Maybe some of those issues are still there. You're not going to find out if he's hitting moon balls on you.
No doubt about it.
Mike Tomlin is 64-35-4 against the spread as the underdog. Most profitable in the last 20 years.
And that's a lot of points. Doesn't that worry you? Doesn't that worry you if you're a Pittsburgh fan? Why is it so many points? I guess at home, Philly's going to automatically lay 3. So we're ending up with, a neutral site 2.5-point line. That sounds about right, I guess.
And no Pickens.
So it's gonna be an interesting one.
Sneak.
And for Pittsburgh, they play Baltimore next week. You talk about like looking ahead, and they got 3 games in 10 days. I think this stretch coming up is tough for them. So
Philly, Baltimore, KC,
yeah,
and they get a break with Cincy.
if they're gonna win the game, they have to be able to run the ball, and Freiermuth has to have a big day, in my opinion. And Russell Wilson, I rushed him for years. What's the number one thing you have to do when you rush Russell Wilson? Anybody know?
Bring them to the ground.
Okay.
Not fall for the.
Wrong.
Force him to the right.
No, wrong.
Contain.
Middle pressure. Middle pressure against Russell Wilson has him bailing to 11 yards. You know, and I do think the Eagles' edges can get there if the drop target's not tight. And I think like where you like the matchups, I do like the matchups inside. Middle pressure is non-negotiable. Now, some of the things y'all are talking about too is like you have to kind of rush as an edge guy with the fact in mind that he's going to bail and twirl and and do all those things a little bit different than Mahomes, but like the same negotiable drop target. And by drop target, I mean where the quarterback settles, you know, and a lot of the time we talk about it as defensive lineman. Drop target, you know, guy will get a sack on like a 12-yard drop target play and everybody goes nuts. Well, that's on the quarterback. You know, Tom Brady, the reason he was so hard to sack, not only did he get the ball out, but he climbed the pocket consistently. So Russ will give you some plays, especially if you cave that middle of the pocket where he's going to have hard time seeing. And he's gonna revert to, hey, how do I wheel out of this thing? And if you run right in Josh Sweat, run right in Nolan Smith, that's the way you rush this guy. You got to cage him.
71 points last 2 weeks for Steelers.
I think it slows down this week a bit.
The Steelers and Ravens, you mentioned the Steelers' upcoming schedule. The Ravens, they have New York this week, and then, as you mentioned, Pittsburgh. They could be tied 10-5 at the top of the AFC North going into Week 17.
Wow.
Which is wild.
You know, and we knew Pittsburgh was going to have a tough run the second half of the season, but you know, this is where having a veteran coach really helps late in the year.
And a veteran QB.
Veteran QB as well.
Is everything.
No question.
Everything he had.
Can we get Ravens division odds at some point by the end of the show?
Sure. Yeah. Hit us.